Good morning, everyone. Bom dia a todos. Tudo bem com vocês? How are you guys? Welcome to our webinar by Golden Oak Consulting and CWCPA and Stratris. We are very excited to have all your audience to learn more about how to do business in Hong Kong and how we can enter into Asian markets through Hong Kong. We have distinguished speakers to give very important knowledge and information so that we can do it in a nice, correct way. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Sujong Ko. I'm founding and managing partner of Golden Oak Consulting. We are an M&A and investment advisory firm based in São Paulo, Brazil. We have been doing business with many investors from Asia and entrepreneurs from Latin America and all around the world. We love empowering the entrepreneurs going international. The reason why we are doing this webinar is exactly because we want to empower the entrepreneurs from Latin America, especially today from Brazil, to go to Asia using Hong Kong as a hub. I would like to give my thank words to a few companies that supported us. So first of all, I would like to give my thank words to BR Visa and the Korean newspaper in Brazil, Bungia News. Also, I'd like to thank for the institutional support from Brazilian Institute of International for the Development of International Business Relations, IBRE, and Invest Hong Kong. Also, I would like to give my thank words to all the business partners, Keep Electric, Bruto, Trade Energy, DM Consultoria, and Treinamento that helped us promote this webinar. So once again, this webinar is being organized by Golden Oak Consulting, CWCPA, represented by Camille, one of our speakers, and Stratris, also represented by the speaker Bertrand, that I will introduce in due course. This webinar is being recorded, so we can also share the recording after the webinar. So if you are not a speaker or you don't want to be on the screen, please just to keep all the video and microphone also on mute, turned off. Well, so we have 3 speakers. I will start with Thiago, that is Thiago Silveira, representing Invest Hong Kong. In sequence, I will invite Camille Vera from CWCPA. Finally, I will invite Bertrand Trout from Stratris also to talk about his topic. In this webinar, we will talk about using Hong Kong as a gateway to Asia and how you can operate your Hong Kong business remotely. We will also talk about the bank account solutions for Hong Kong companies. So I would like to invite Thiago Cruz Silveira. Thiago Cruz Silveira is Principal Consultant Brazil Invest Hong Kong as a hub for Brazilian in Asia. Thiago Cruz Silveira is the head of Invest Hong Kong in Brazil since 2016. He has a degree in economics from Universidade Federal Rio de Janeiro with Masters in Business Administration. And IE Business School in Madrid. Thiago has over 15 years of professional experience in finance, marketing, strategy, and commercial areas of large companies such as Globopar, Oi, Monitor Group, and Rio Negócios. And at Invest Hong Kong, he is responsible for connecting Brazilian companies to Hong Kong, supporting their internationalization process from conception to execution through customized and confidential consulting services. Thiago is fluent in English, French, and Spanish. He's speaking from Rio de Janeiro now. We have other speakers speaking from different cities, so also I would like to introduce them in the course. So let's start with Thiago. Okay, and once again, please keep your microphone on mute, okay? Welcome, Thiago.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you for your kind introduction. It's a pleasure to be with you all today, talking a little bit about Hong Kong and how Invest Hong Kong can support Brazilian companies and actually companies from all over the world who would like to set up an operation in Hong Kong. So I'll try to share my presentation now. Hopefully it will work. Can you see?
Yes.
Cool, excellent. So I'll start with our topics for today, which is I'll provide an overview of the Hong Kong advantages and its business environment, talk about the Greater Bay Area, which is a key topic right now when we speak about this region, mention a few Brazilian projects that we facilitated in Hong Kong recently, and with our role, the Invest Hong Kong role, and how can we operate and support Brazilian companies going to Asia. So starting with the advantages, for those of you that have not very clear in mind where Hong Kong is situated, Hong Kong is very much in the heart of Asia, right? So it's when in normal times we have more than 100 airlines operating flights to over 200 destinations worldwide, and this information of 4 hours, from 4 hours of flight, you are from Hong Kong in all key Asia markets, and within 5 hours of flight, you are reaching out to more than half of world's population. So it's really key. The localization of Hong Kong is really key if you have plans to develop and exploit opportunities in Asia. Together with its location, Hong Kong has a very special treatment under China, since it's part of the one country, two systems regime since the handover of Hong Kong from the United Kingdom back in the 80s. And this one country, two systems regime makes that Hong Kong has some specific advantages for international business, like English as an official and second language in the territory, total freedom of accessing Western social media and internet platforms, its own currency, the Hong Kong dollar, which has a peg to the US dollar, free flow of capital. So together with a rule of law regime, which is very close to some of the Western countries and territories. So it's a very much international and open city in south of China, and it's very, very easy to do business when you choose Hong Kong to set up, right? I would like to highlight in this slide, because every time when we are talking about internationalization, and companies are really to find out incentives and lines of perhaps funding or grants to support their projects, I also like to highlight that the best incentive for your international project to Hong Kong is this competitive and simple tax system. So the normal average, actually, the normal rate of profits, of taxation of a profit, it's 16.5, which is a very much low rate when you talk about Brazil, for example. But for the first 2 million of Hong Kong profits, this tax is cut in half. So if you're starting a project, for example, if you're bringing a company, opening a company from Brazil in Hong Kong, until you capture your first $2 million Hong Kong dollars of profits, you're going to pay only 8.25% of taxes, and that's it, because you don't have any other taxes. And when you compare personal tax rate, it's even more interesting when compared to other regions in Asia, like Singapore and China, and Hong Kong doesn't have VAT as well. So keep this information in mind about the advantages and the whole simple and competitive tax system that Hong Kong can offer. In terms of the business environment, every year, Invest Hong Kong produces this survey, which we try to identify the attractiveness and the size and the amount of international companies operating in Hong Kong. And as of this year's survey, we captured that more than 9,000 businesses all over the world are located in Hong Kong or have their operational base in Asia from Hong Kong, right? Because again, this is a very highly dynamic and international city, serving as the perfect platform into mainland China and Asia. Digging a little bit on this number and on this annual survey that I mentioned to you, you'll be able to see that this number is growing. So a bit more than 9,000 companies from outside Hong Kong are based there. And together, if we talk about the type of the operation that is based in Hong Kong, from out of those 9,000, almost 1,500 is our regional headquarters. What does that mean? That are companies that are choosing Hong Kong to operate not only in Hong Kong or China, but to have a regional approach. And where are those companies coming from? From a very, very mixed background of countries, from mainland China, from Japan, US, UK, and Singapore. And if you keep opening this number, you'll see other countries in Europe, like France, like Italy, like Germany, coming in the top 10, right? Also, what are the favorable factors? So what are those companies really finding Hong Kong useful for? So the most cited and the most mentioned factors are geographical location, as we had already seen in our first slide, the free flow of information that I mentioned to you when I talked about the one country, two systems regime, and a simple tax and low tax rate, but we just saw in the previous slide. And of course, the whole infrastructure of communication, transport, data, because Hong Kong is very much well connected, not only to mainland China, but with all the region, the Asian region. And what are the major lines of business that are those companies operating? So of course that you will find the whole trading, import, export, wholesale, retail, very strong and very present. Financing and banking, Hong Kong is a financial hub from the world for the world. So as you can imagine, this sector, even when we add the fintech, right? When we talk about the fintech companies, it's been growing a lot, but also professional business and education services and everything related to logistics, transportation, storage, and courier. So I just mentioned about fintech, but let's first understand fintech into the startup ecosystem as a whole. So if you see the actual number of startups in Hong Kong, we are reaching almost 4,000. And let's everybody remember, Hong Kong is a city. Hong Kong has the size in terms of population of a city like Rio de Janeiro, for example, in Brazil, almost 8 million inhabitants. So only in Hong Kong we can find almost 4,000 startups, and this number has been growing a lot. So 68% growth since 2017. And this number of startups also not only is interesting for the city because of the technology and the whole funding that they bring, but it's a big source of employment as well. So almost 3,000 jobs and positions were created by those startups. So it's a very important and very relevant segment of the Hong Kong economy these days. Continue to talk about it. The origins of those 4,000 startups is very mixed and very diverse. So almost 30% are founders that come from outside of Hong Kong. And when we talk about specifically of fintech companies, 600 is the number of fintech companies actually based in Hong Kong today. But not only fintech, as I mentioned, other business sectors are relevant for Hong Kong in startups as well. So again, e-commerce, professional services, ICT, and design are very hot segments, hot topics in Hong Kong for startups in the startup ecosystem. Talking about specifically of fintech, I'd like to highlight, we just run 2 weeks ago our Hong Kong FinTech Week, which is the flagship fintech event in Hong Kong. Ourselves in Invest Hong Kong, we support and organize it every year. And this is a number that I like to show because it's also a global launch pad for fintech companies. It's not only fintech companies are looking for Hong Kong, not only to establish in Asia, but also to launch their platforms to the world as a whole. Also in Invest Hong Kong, we run another flagship event, which is called Start Me Up Hong Kong Festival. This is a very much more broad, not specific in one vertical. But the last edition that we ran in 2021, of course, it was fully virtual, but still virtual. We had a big impact in terms of countries and territories participating. We have several companies from Brazil joining, almost 40,000 virtual attendings. And in those events, we also provide some matched meetings. And I encourage everyone who's watching this webinar to go to this web link, startmeup.hk, and see more information. Really happy to facilitate any of you that would like to join the next year event. The FinTech Week I already mentioned to you. And let's talk about funding because, again, this is also every time a hot topic when we talk about internationalization projects, right? And here I try to summarize that in Hong Kong, you can find government funding schemes and support from other players in the ecosystem in all phases of the business setup of tech business. I'm talking specifically about startups, okay? So from setup, if you product has any component on R&D, for when you have to hire people, when you have to expand your business, and of course do your business development from every stage of development of your startup, of your company, you can find support and some lines of funding and grants that can help you in this process. So again, I just put the QR code here just for you to scan for more details. Each one of those names has a very specific and detailed requirements that I won't detail right now, but happy again to interact after that if any of you are interested to apply. Okay. Now talking about not only Hong Kong, right? I think Emily in the next presentation will talk about Hong Kong and China, but I just would like to anticipate a bit the subject of the Greater Bay Area, because the Greater Bay Area is an agreement, actually a policy from the central government in China to unite and to create unity between the Guangdong province of China, which is outlined here in the map, and the two special administrative regions of China, Macau and Hong Kong, uniting them in an umbrella with almost 100 million people, so 86 million in terms of population, a land area which is equivalent or even bigger than Ireland or Panama, so it has a sizable piece of land, and a GDP which is more than $1.5 trillion, which is equivalent to a country like Australia or Spain. So keep this in mind. When we talk about Hong Kong, we are talking about an amplified area, which will give access to this specific South China region very big and very wealthy. In terms of connectivity, so what is enabling this Greater Bay Area to become more united? Number one, connectivity in terms of infrastructure. So there is now a high-speed train that connects Hong Kong West Kowloon Station to Shenzhen in 15 minutes. So it's something very fast and very convenient if you want to do business, if you're based in Hong Kong and want to do business in one city or the other. If you're traveling, for example, to Guangzhou, before you used to, go by road or by car in 2 hours, 2 hours and a half. Now you can go by 45 minutes in high-speed train. So very, very much convenient. And also the bridge, the Hong Kong-Zhuhai Macau bridge that was open, and I think 2 years ago, that is connected Hong Kong, Macau, and the Guangdong province in 45 minutes by car. You can reach all this region. So it's not only a policy in terms of government talking about or speaking about it, but it's reality in terms of infrastructure. A few numbers when we compare what we call the Greater Bay Area with other tech Bay areas like Tokyo and San Francisco. This region is very much in line in terms of population, GDP, and other indicators like H&M stores, Apple stores with other regions of the world. So we are talking about a region that has everything for the years to come to become a major player in the international tech scene. And how to use and how to reach out to the opportunities that GBA offer from Hong Kong. So again, by establishing a base in Hong Kong, it is very much convenient to attract international talent and innovation, right? Talent, again, the use of English as a speaking language and the free flow of information and the connectivity in terms of flights with all parts of the world makes this really, really possible. And let's not forget that this all this region of China is transforming, right, in terms of specializing in advanced manufacturing. So manufacturing is changing and changing very fast in this region of the world. So when you talk about complementing one another with capital, scientific research, this is a place to be. And again, a consumer base, now talking specifically to companies, to consumer products companies that are trying to target a huge consumer market. And I'll soon show you an example of a big Brazilian company that's established in Hong Kong that I believe everybody knows, Alpargatas, our dear Havaianas product, that are using this in a very successful way. So this leads us to a few, I just brought this logo here to give you a taste and bring you some flavor on how big Brazilian companies have recently chosen Hong Kong to establish their operations in Asia. So I'm pretty sure that you all know Bradesco, you all know Havaianas, Lojas Americanas, Boticário, Pátria Investimentos, those and other projects, some bigger, some smaller, because it is important to say here in Invest Hong Kong, we don't discriminate the size of the companies when we provide support. We'll talk about it later. So Brazilian companies have been understanding and paying attention of this package of offer package that Hong Kong can deliver in terms of value to them, and are profiting from it, right? Specifically on Americanas. Americanas just announced, and this is a project that CW also worked on. Maybe Kemily can give some details later. Here, I bring when they announced their operation, the opening up their operation in Hong Kong in July. So in the middle of the pandemic, Americanas took this huge step of setting up a local team in Hong Kong, because you know that Americanas, they are the third largest e-commerce player in Latin America, right? They are rivals only to Mercado Libre and Amazon in the region. And they saw Hong Kong as a very strategic point for them to intensify the negotiation, prospecting, and quality control of the products that they bring to their platform, relationship with suppliers and sellers, in addition to supporting the company's cross-border operations. So the choice of Hong Kong was really strategic for Americanas, and now they have this daily flight or weekly flights directly from Hong Kong airport to Guarulhos airport, because it is very easy to set up an operation like this from Hong Kong, connecting all those products that we see in this amazing Americanas platform to Brazil, making the connection between the two of the opposite sides of the world in less than 10 days, right? And for Alpargatas, the use of Hong Kong was the opposite. So if Americanas saw advantages of using Hong Kong to source products from Asia to Brazil and Latin America, Alpargatas is using Hong Kong as in the opposite direction. They are selling their Brazilian worldwide famous flip-flops and apparel brands. And here I have the picture of Mr. Robert Esther, which is the managing director of the Hong Kong office, and it's their beautiful Hong Kong headquarters, Alpargatas headquarters in Hong Kong, saying that the Hong Kong office, and this is his quote, and the product management and marketing skills of the Hong Kong people can help spearhead and push into China and the GBA. And here I just got this picture from the LinkedIn, actually, the Alpargatas LinkedIn, because this is the result of this operation, which was opening in May 2018. So now we in the 10-10 festival, you should all know the 11-11. They also have the 10-10 festival in Philippines and Southeast Asia. Havaianas was the best-selling brand in terms of fashion in Philippines and the third in Southeast Asia as a whole, just below Skechers and Adidas. So this is the true indicator that can show how to set up in Hong Kong. You can design a footprint from North Asia, Japan, Korea, to Southeast Asia and manage it from Hong Kong, because it's simple and it's cost effective, as we've seen before. So to end my presentation, I just would like to detail how Invest Hong Kong can help. So as we've done with Alpargatas, we've done with Americanas, and of course we can do it for your company. If you are watching this webinar and have a project to set up in Asia, we can help you on those 4 steps, right? Which are the 4 steps that every major company really have to face when talk about internationalization. First one is planning, and planning is key in this stage, because we are talking about gathering data, knowing market information, having specific information about rules in the market, legislation, regulatory issues. So we inside Invest Hong Kong, together with our geographic team. So when Sue introduced me, I'm the head of Invest Hong Kong in Brazil, but supporting me here, I have 9 sector teams, specialized teams in sectors like fintech, consumer products, tourism and hospitality, creative industry, transport and logistics, and etc., that are experts and people that really know what help and what can make the difference when you're planning your setup in Hong Kong. So this is the planning phase, right? And whenever the planning phase is completed, companies call us and say, Thiago, we need to set up, we have, go ahead to our project to Hong Kong, but how do I start? So where do I start hiring people? How do I interact with a CPA provider? Or how do I open my bank account, which are 2 topics that we are going to discuss next. We as Invest Hong Kong are happy to showcase and to bring to the table names and companies that can help your setup in many aspects. So if I have to apply for, if I'm a fintech company and I need to apply for a specific license together with the Hong Kong Monetary Authority, we can help you on that. If I am an e-commerce company and I need to hire a warehouse to, you know, do the fulfillment of my products, where do I quote it? We can help you on that. So see, in this setup phase, please see us as a facilitator, as a hub that can bring to the table names of people that can really help your setup, right? And after the setup, of course, the launch, we are happy to, you know, provide marketing service, PR to the companies that we assist. I invite you all to visit our website, investhk.gov.hk. You will see there are several PR releases from companies from all over the world that we help to announce to the Asian market. We usually do it in English, in Chinese, traditional and simplified. So it's always a message to the market that, you know, really reaches out to a big amount of vehicles and targets. And of course, after launch, we have the aftercare and expansion, because companies, they not only stay in Hong Kong, right? They expand inside Hong Kong and outside Hong Kong. So the relationship that we create with companies is looking for the long term. Here in box in the bottom, you have the clusters of the sector teams that I mentioned to you that can provide expertise and specific information to each type of project that we assist. And together with this sector expertise, we have built a very broad and extensive worldwide network. So inside Invest Hong Kong, we have 30 offices around the world. So I'm the leader of the Invest Hong Kong office, Brazil, here from Rio de Janeiro. And but here in the Americas, you can see that we have presence in Santiago, in Lima, in Mexico, 2 offices in the US, 1 in Canada, big presence in Europe, big presence even in mainland China, with offices in cities like Shanghai, Beijing, Guangzhou. And it's a very extensive support network connecting all of the world to Hong Kong. And this is very important also to give scale to our operation, because as you can imagine, every year we have in big numbers, of course that pandemic changed a bit the numbers, but in normal days we have more than 400 investment projects announced and completed every year. So it's a big investment project number flowing to Hong Kong. And of course that we keep all the confidentiality of projects that we assist, but it gives us also to the sector teams in Hong Kong expertise of what really works and what really doesn't work. So when we advise and share experience, of course not disclosing specific information from the project, but you can count us as a sounding board, of course, for your ideas, strategic ideas, and really have a high-level strategic discussion with Invest Hong Kong, because we have this international kind of best practice footprint from those those 30 offices around the world. So finally, I would like to leave my contacts here, and my email is here on the screen together with my LinkedIn QR code. So I really do encourage you guys to reach out, make questions. Myself and our team here in Brazil are happy to set up meetings. And now that we are coming back to the presential meetings, happy to visit you guys. If not, we still are able to do everything by online way, Zoom or Meet or meeting or etc. So really happy to have met you all, and thank you, Sue, CW and Statris once again for the invitation.
Thank you, Thiago. Obrigada. It was a great presentation because we need to have people like you, experts, to help us navigate in Asia. In this case, using Hong Kong. So it was really pleasant to hear your explanation, the representation of all these years of experience. So thank you so much. Now
Thank you, Sue.
yeah, and Thiago, what we are gonna do is usually people are paying attention to the content of this presentation so that they can actually come up with the very good questions at the end of the presentation. So this is something that I would like to ask you for your patience. Now I would like to invite Camille Vera. Camille Vera is from CWCPA. She's going to talk about Hong Kong setup and operation. Camille is a CWCPA business advisor in charge of the Brazil desk. She is responsible for the development of marketing strategies and to assist the Portuguese-speaking clients to set up and navigate to their business in Hong Kong and mainland China. So Camille, welcome. You have around 10 minutes because I would like to also give more time to Bertrand and then open to the Q&A, okay? Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Sue. Hello, everyone. I think my presentation will be quite simple. It's about the Hong Kong setup process. And as you guys will see, Hong Kong is really easy, especially if you compare with Brazil or even with China. So I would like to start by presenting a little bit about CW. So CW is an accounting and consulting firm based in Hong Kong, and it was founded and managed by Mr. Thomas Wong and Mrs. Rosanna Choi. We have a very strong presence in Asia through our office in Hong Kong and China, especially in the Greater Bay Area that Thiago mentioned just now. We are also located in Colombia, Brazil, UK, and in Spain. We are a one-stop provider, which means that we can help you from the setup of your company in Hong Kong or China to the compliances and any other requirements to keep your business going. Among the services that we offer, we have audit, company secretary, tax, advisory, HR solutions, and China business consultancy. All that being provided by experienced and multilingual professionals. And today, as I mentioned, I will talk about how to set up a Hong Kong company and how to operate your business remotely. I think I will use the remotely as a key because especially right now during the pandemic, remotely is a key process to the beginning of any operation. As my colleague Thiago already mentioned some key reasons of why to use Hong Kong as a gateway to Asia, I will show you the steps that you need to take to keep the business running in Hong Kong. So we have here various types of company setup models in Hong Kong. I only use 3 examples in here, the most important ones. And the first one that you can see here is the representative office. In this option, the company cannot engage in business or have any profits. So to put it simply, the main purpose of this representative office is to promote the overseas company. And you can only engage in marketing and promotion activities. Also in this model, the liability of the company can be extended to the parent company. We also have here the option of setting up a branch. In this case, it takes longer to get registered due to the amount of documents and paperwork required. So another important point about the branch is that the business scope has to be exactly the same as the parent company. So it's not very interesting if you need to do something different from the scope of your company in Brazil or any other place. The liability of the Hong Kong company can be extended to the company overseas. And last, we have the most popular type of company set up in Hong Kong, that is the limited company. With a limited company, the liability is limited. The shareholder subscribes share capital for their offshore parent company. This is also one of the reasons why a lot of companies get established in Hong Kong first, and then they use Hong Kong company to open a company or in other places in Asia. You can use it, or even to open, I don't know, in the United States or other places, you can use this company as a holding. This model of company takes around a week to be established, and you don't need to follow the same business scope as the parent company. And to open a limited Hong Kong, you need the following things. First, you need to choose a name that can be in English or Chinese. Of course, you cannot choose a name that is already registered. The next step is to appoint at least one director and one shareholder. They can be the same person and they don't need to reside in Hong Kong, which means that the director and the shareholder appointed can live in another country while conducting its business in Hong Kong. Another point to note here is that we usually advise the company to be set up with a simple structure because it helps with the bank account opening. And I will explain more about this later on. The company is also required to register a capital, but the good news is that Hong Kong doesn't have a minimum requirement for the capital, so you can register your company with $1 Hong Kong. Also, you need, this is very different, so everyone gets a bit confused about this one, that is the company secretary. In Hong Kong, you have to have the company secretary to open, to set up your business. And this company secretary can be a person or a company that provides these services like CW. It's important to know that this person or this company needs to be in Hong Kong. When we talk about the company secretary, a lot of people think that it means the usual secretary role, but the real role of the company secretary in Hong Kong is to be the name representative of the company and to make sure that the company is operating accordingly to the local laws and regulations. They are also responsible for keeping all the statutory documents and that the company is required to have, and they serve as a bridge between the company and the Hong Kong government, among other things. The last step is that you have to have a registered address. So Hong Kong does not require you to have a physical space, but they ask you to have at least a registered address. This option is one of the reasons why it's possible for you to have this operation running from any place in the world, because the shareholders doesn't need to be in Hong Kong, the director doesn't need to be in Hong Kong, and you don't have to have an office, a physical office there. So when I say that you can operate your business remotely, that's how you do it. After opening your company, you can start opening the bank account. Hong Kong only allows you to open the bank account after you finish registering your company. So it means you cannot do it before or simultaneously with the company when the company is being opened. Hong Kong is also known as one of the biggest financial hubs, not only because it's friendly business environment, but also because of the perks of having a corporate bank account there. You can operate your business in different currencies, so you can have RMB, American dollars, euros, and other main currencies that makes the process of dealing with clients and suppliers from different nationalities way easier, making it possible to run a global operation more smoothly. So far, you notice that opening a company in Hong Kong is, to say in easy words, easy peasy. So you might be asking yourself, where's the catch? And the catch is that the bank account opening process is quite hard and time consuming. To open a bank account in Hong Kong, it can take around 3 months when you have a consultancy company helping you with the account setup, or even more when you try to do it by yourself. The reason why I mentioned before that you should try to keep a simple structure of the company with just one director and one shareholder is because it makes the process of opening the bank account go quicker since it requires less documents, and because all the directors and shareholders appointed in the Hong Kong company need to go to Hong Kong to do an interview with the bank. And that's not possible right now with the current travel restrictions. But worry not, there's an alternative that is less painful to have your company running, and Bertrand will be the guy that will explain that to you right after my presentation. So about the taxes, Tiago already mentioned a little bit. This is, I think, is the favorite part for the business investors and business owners because it's so simple. And here I mentioned Hong Kong has the profit tax for companies that is 16.5, and in the first 2 million of Hong Kong dollars, this rate goes down to 8.25. And we also have the salary tax to be paid by the employee, not the company, and it gets up to 15%. You can see also here there's 0% in dividends and also no value-added tax. So the tax regime in Hong Kong is very simple. It's even weird, I think, for Brazilians to understand how simple it is. We keep waiting for the other shoe to drop, but that's it. The compliances of a Hong Kong company are also simple. Among the compliances that the company has to do is the annual return and the business registration, the accounting and tax filing. These two are kind of connected, the accounting and the tax filing, since you can only file your taxes with the audit report. So the accounting part of the company is also crucial because maintaining the bank account, because the banks perform an evaluation on your account after you open, maybe on a yearly basis, and they can request the most updated audit of your company. And if you fail to comply, that might lead you to lose, to have your bank account closed, which would be a real nightmare since it's not so easy to open a bank account in Hong Kong, so you have to take a good care of it. The audit in Hong Kong needs to be done by a certified public accountant, also known as a CPA. And besides of risking losing your bank account with the lack of compliance, you can also incur penalties and incur summons if you do not deliver these audits and tax filings and so on. All these compliances that I mentioned, they need to be renewed on a yearly basis. So you don't have monthly services that your company needs to do. It's just once a year. Other compliances that your company can have is the employer's return. There needs to be filed every time you receive the letter from the government requesting it, which can happen every year or every other year, or you can even have a gap of 3 years without receiving this letter. But if your company pays salary to directors and employees, you have to do it on a regular basis. which means you have to do it once a year as well. Well, as I mentioned, my presentation is quite simple. Hong Kong is a very easy market to understand. Of course, every case is a different case and it has to be analyzed on a case-by-case basis. But overall, Hong Kong is very simple and straightforward to operate and to get set up in there. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to me on my email, LinkedIn, or WeChat showing the screen. I will be also available here to answer your questions, any questions that you may have now after the webinar, after the presentations. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Obrigada, Camille, for your presentation. So let's move on to the next speaker, the last one, Bertrand Thiaw, founder of Startis. He's going to talk about how to launch or grow your business remotely in Asia using Hong Kong as a hub. Before I introduce Bertrand, Camille actually spoke from Bali, Indonesia, which is evening time there, right? Okay, thank you so much for your presentation. So Bertrand Thiaw is a former lawyer and founder of Startrees, a fast-growing fintech company based in Hong Kong to better serve Asian SMEs in their daily operations. After more than 20 years working and traveling in Asia, Bertrand has decided to launch Startrees to solve a very simple yet critical problem, offer a user-friendly and safe payments and FX platform that can help all the fantastic companies and entrepreneurs we have across Asia succeed in their business. Passionate about football, Bertrand has built Startrees based on some of the sport values that he has always believed in and carried out since he started working: simplicity, transparency, support, and diligence. After 2 years of operation, he is proud and grateful to have a team of 35 employees working hard every day to assist 1,000 SMEs in their payment and FX needs, with 55,000 payments already completed across 70 countries in all sorts of industries and regions. So welcome to our webinar, Bertrand.
Hello, can you hear me well?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, good. So hello everybody. So thank you for this first presentation too. So as mentioned, I've been in Asia for quite some time, more than 20 years. I started as a lawyer, then I work in some investment fund, then I moved to entrepreneurship. The last company I set up is Startrees, in operation for 3 years now. So Startrees is based in Hong Kong, and we are a payment and foreign exchange platform for SMEs. We are no longer, I will say, a startup, because we've gone beyond that stage. We're still not like a major institution. We don't have the size of HSBC, to put it this way. Still, we are growing pretty quick. Now we have more than 35. We have 41 people in the company, and now we're expanding our business beyond Hong Kong. That's why I'm in Bangkok now, because we want to get license in Thailand, in Singapore, in Indonesia, in Malaysia. At the moment, we have the license already in Hong Kong, of course, because we operate in Hong Kong, but also in the UK. So what do we do and what do we offer? As mentioned before by Camille, it's very easy to set up a company in Hong Kong. I've done that many times when I was a lawyer. The catch-22 is opening an account. So for those of you who are familiar with Hong Kong, you may know that a few years ago, it was very easy to open an account in Hong Kong. Basically, that will come as I would say, as a package with your company. You set up your company. Sometimes you didn't even have to go to the branch, and then you will have a bank account, mostly with HSBC. I think today they still have like 90% of market share in Hong Kong. Okay, and then what happened is 9/11, the global financial crisis, things like that. And so he went from one extreme to the other, and from being very simple, it has become very difficult to open an account. I've experienced that when I started as an entrepreneur. It was very difficult for me, even being in Asia, to open an account and also to maintain an account. I won't say which bank, but I had a number of accounts that were closed with no real explanation given to me, just because I think the bank thought that, being French in Asia, having a business that was kind of worldwide, that was going beyond their risk appetite. And having a legal background, a lawyer background, I had to look into it and I checked whether it was possible basically to set up a fintech in Hong Kong, the way it exists, in Brazil or in Europe. And the good surprise was, okay, that was possible. So we launched the operation, and today we have clients coming to us and staying with us for 4 main reasons. Reason number one is because it's easy to set up. It's easy to set up an account. So on average, if you start operating in 48 hours, that's more like, let's be honest, it's more marketing. I can tell you because I checked with our team today. Usually, on average, it takes 4.2 business days to open an account. Which is still pretty quick, because it means that if you apply on Monday, then you have a very high chance to get your account up and running by the end of the week, by Friday. So that's number one. And the good thing is that all the application is made online. And then we have a Zoom call, so we can understand, who is the client, how he wants to operate the account. And and then in 4.2 business days, you can get the account. With that, everything is online. Sorry, I forgot to say that. So you don't have any need to come to Hong Kong and visit a branch. So that's the point number one. Point number two, why client, stay with us, even if at the later stage they may have a possibility to open an account with a traditional bank, is because from the very beginning, we decided that we will be a payment fintech for SMEs, so B2B. We don't serve individuals. Individuals cannot open an account with us. And so we add everything, in a line with the regulator, with our partners bank, so to make sure that our client can process large payments. So today we have clients processing millions of US dollars every month on their account. So, and I think this is where we're kind of unique, because there are a number of startups, but most of them, they are okay if you process small payments, typically if you do e-commerce, these kind of things. But when it comes to buying, containers of equipment and goods in China and sell them, in another market, then it's much more difficult to operate and, to operate the account in a way that is very smooth. We don't have any problem with that. Number three reason, the account that we offer, the business account that we offer, support 11 major currencies. So obviously, Hong Kong dollar, but also US dollar, euro, Singapore dollar, Japanese yen, Chinese yuan, and so on. Unfortunately, we don't have the Brazilian real. But so we have these 11 currencies. And so for all companies based in Hong Kong and that are involved in some kind of international trade and international operation, they may receive payment in one currency, then they have to do payment in another currency. And the FX rate that we offer to our clients are much lower than the one offered by traditional bank. Usually our clients, they save minimum, 50% on the FX commission. So that's the reason number three. And the reason number four, I don't know, I'm not familiar with the banks in Brazil. I'm familiar with those in in Europe and in Hong Kong. And today, when you call your bank, unless you are a very large client, very likely it will be difficult to have someone answering on the other side of the line. So you have dial 1, dial 3, dial 5, and then at the end dial again. So we are very proud of having a good customer support. You can reach us by email, WhatsApp, WeChat, the chat box, and that's something that our clients like very much. So that's basically what we offer. I'll try to be quick so we can also keep some time for the Q&A session. Our partner bank in Hong Kong is DBS. So DBS is a first-tier bank. That's the largest bank in Singapore. They also have operation in Hong Kong, and we partner with them to offer our client business account in Hong Kong. And so any payment that is made to your business account is actually processed by DBS. Same thing when you do a payment out. And as a fintech, if you open a business account with us, your money is safe because according to the regulation in Hong Kong, your money is not with us as Tetris. Your money at any time is with DBS. So we are a payment platform. That's why we don't say we are a bank. We're not a bank, but we are a payment platform. We help the client to open an account. You interact with us for the account management, but at any time, again, your money is not with us. Your money is with DBS. Then, yeah, so that's so the account. It's a dedicated account number, so you have your own account number, and you can manage that. So competitive foreign rates, I try to be quick. That's something that was discussed already. Then in terms of pricing, I mentioned about the competitive FX rate compared to traditional banks. All domestic payments in Hong Kong, in Hong Kong dollar and US dollar are free. And payment in and payment out, basically, we just pass on to our clients the transfer fee that are charged to us by DBS. On top of that, we also offer other services in addition to the business account. Very recently, because that's only 3 weeks ago, we have started offering, payment cards. So it's a debit card, MasterCard. So this is available for all our clients, no matter where they are located on the planet, so including clients that are in Latin America. And we also offer advanced Forex. So I don't know if people in the audience are familiar with Forex. In addition to spot, we also offer a forward contract, meaning that if you know that you have to pay your suppliers in China in renminbi, you can book a rate for 1 year. So you can book a favorable rate for 1 year, and then you are no longer exposed to any currency fluctuation. And the last point is we offer a Euro IBAN account, meaning what? Meaning that first you apply for the business account in Hong Kong, but then if you have a flow of business in Europe, by that I mean that you have clients in Europe or suppliers in Europe, and you want this client or suppliers to pay you or receive payment from them in Europe, you can do that on this Euro IBAN account. So in Europe, we work with another partner bank, which is Barclays. And that's coming back to what I said at the beginning. This is what we want to develop. We want to become some kind of a gateway where clients coming to us have access not only to one business account in Hong Kong, but that business account in Hong Kong, plus the payment card, plus the Euro IBAN account in Europe. We will soon have the GBP IBAN account in the UK. And then in the course of 2022, we will offer also a business account in Singapore with DBS as well, a Thai baht account in Thailand. This one will be with a country bank, and then we will, I think by beginning of 2023. All the things takes a lot of time because we have to go through the application for the payment license, provide a lot of information, so it's pretty long. But then I guess by beginning of 2023, we will have the payment license in Indonesia, and so we can offer an Indonesian rupee local account, and then in Malaysia. So basically, that's it. Yeah, I tried to be quick. So that's our team. At the moment, our team is split between our Hong Kong office, Bangkok office, and some people in the UK. That's it for me. And I'm happy to answer any question you have about our operation.
Bertrand, thank you so much for your presentation. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so usually what we also enjoy doing is because speakers are very experienced in dealing with entrepreneurs, and the goal of our webinar is actually educate the entrepreneurs going to Asia, from Brazil to Asia through Hong Kong. So I would like to invite the speakers to ask questions from one to another, so that we can learn from each other. And also I will receive the questions from the audience. Okay, so I will start with the first question to Thiago, because Thiago is very experienced in supporting the Brazilian companies going to Hong Kong. So Thiago, what is the first motivation, the major motivation for a Brazilian company to go to Hong Kong? And that's the first question. Subsequently, what is the most big challenge that these companies face when they go to Hong Kong? I believe that you must have received these kind of questions very frequently, so I would like to hear your advice.
Yeah. So those questions, they really appear very frequently, but they are very relevant, right? Because motivation is what moves really us human beings and corporations. So, of course, that when we talk about going to the other side of the world, right? For us Brazilian, getting a flight to Hong Kong to Asia is not easy. It's like at least 28, 30 hours. So you really have to be motivated to do this move. And what we see is, of course, the market size, right? When we talk about Asia, the market size is huge. It's where the growth of the world is really now located. Together with technology, now this region, the GBA region, is really developing in home of big companies and big technology developments. And I would also say, together with market and technology, these days, a diversification, right? Because we know that Brazil is still a very closed economy, very, very self-sufficient in a sense. And but given the past 5 to 10 years of successive crises and disappointments here locally with the political and economic scenario, we are seeing companies diversifying their operations to overseas, right, in order to reach and kind of hedge their risks, right, related to Brazil. So let's not forget, when you have an operation in Hong Kong, we would be transacting and operating in a foreign currency. And again, as I mentioned in my presentation, the Hong Kong dollar has a peg with the US dollar. So it's a very strong and very tradable currency all over the world. So companies are very much these days looking into that factor as well, diversifying their Brazil risk into other regions. And sorry, Sue, your other question was?
What is the biggest challenge for the company to go to Hong Kong?
Well, challenge of course there are many. I mentioned here the distance, the geographic distance. It is a challenge because you have to get used to either wake up very early in Brazil or to go to bed very late, because in order to be connected with teams in the other side of the world, to 11, 12 hours of time zone difference, you will have to get used to that. So geographic distance is a challenge. But I would say that using Hong Kong, I would also mention culture, because it is a culture. Asian culture is very, very different in many ways from Brazilian culture. However, Hong Kong is kind of softened this challenge a little bit, because as it's an international hub in Asia, and we have people from all over the world living and sharing experiences in Hong Kong, the cultural barriers are softened when we compare to other regions of Asia that are not as open as Hong Kong to international markets. So I would stick at that moment to cultural soften challenges and geographical distance.
Thank you very much. So, Camille, why don't you ask a question to Bertrand? You support many entrepreneurs from Brazil going to Hong Kong. So I think they'll be great.
Okay. Yes, I actually think from the point of view of our clients that are already set up or setting up in Hong Kong, the question would be, what is the main difference from the traditional bank from Statris? You already kind of explained this, but also, do they need to change afterwards to a traditional bank, or they can continue because it's a lot simpler than dealing with a traditional bank? So what is the pros and cons of having a Statris? The pros we already mostly heard, but the pros and cons of staying with Statris instead of a traditional bank account.
So yeah, so I mentioned the pros. So the reality is today we don't have to fight to to find clients, because it's very difficult to open an account. So we have a lot of clients coming to us, and I think this is also true because of COVID. Because as you mentioned, Kennelly, before, a lot of the traditional bank, they want their clients to visit the branch. And with COVID and 3 weeks quarantine in Hong Kong, that's not really an option for a lot of people. So for us, the challenge is more than, okay, after clients have opened an account with us, what can we do to keep a client happy and so they stay with us? And so, as I mentioned, the main reason why they stay with us is because of the customer support and the FX. Okay, for those who have operation in Europe, it's also the euro account. It's also, I'm sure you will confirm that, very difficult to have access to a payment card for a company in Hong Kong, or almost impossible. So that's why we try to build something on top of the business account that will make people think, okay, that's good to keep my Statris account. But we're also not naive, and we don't say to client, oh, you should have your Statris account and then you're good, and you should only have your Statris account. I think that it depends on the size of the company, but company that if it's a young company with limited operation, that what we offer will be okay. If it's a larger company and this company wants to have access to more sophisticated banking product, typically like a letter of credit, trade financing, these are things for which you need the banking license in Hong Kong. And as I mentioned before, we don't have the banking license. So when we have clients, typically in trading that needs to have access to letter of credit, typically this is where our services stop by nature. We cannot do it, and then we are even happy to introduce them to DBS. Doesn't mean still that DBS will approve them as a client, because again, it's very complicated. So I think that when the cons with us is, if you need more what I call sophisticated or typical banking products that requires to have the banking license, definitely that's not something we can do.
Thank you very much. Tiago, can you ask a question to Bertrand based on your experience in dealing with the large corporations, small companies?
Of course, Bertrand, of course, that we, as Camille mentioned, we share the pains of the projects that we support in terms of clients that have a big business in Brazil, big, track record on dealing with Asia, and sometimes they want to bring, a big team and big operations to Hong Kong, and they just cannot manage to open a bank account. Can you tell me how this track record and how this experience of overseas business is taken into account when you offer a bank account to a company? Do you watch it? Do you take it into consideration?
Yes, of course. So if you allow me, then I do before answering your question, I'll do a quick, step backward and explain what is the situation. Okay, so today, I mean, it's not only in Hong Kong. Okay, it's in many countries. Banks, the traditional business of banks is to open a bank account so you can make payment, right? The reality is that if you are in the banking industry, opening and maintaining a bank account for a client, so this client can do and make payment, doesn't, bring a bank a large revenue. And in the other end, because the revenue, we all know what is the revenue, right? You may have a monthly fee to maintain the account. There is a transfer fee each time payment is received. Another transfer fee when a payment is done, and then some FX if the client is paying or selling in different currencies. That's it. Okay. So I'll let you make the calculation. Even if you have a very large client, it doesn't mean that the very large client will make thousands of payments every month. Okay, so the banks that have this track record, they know, basically what is the average revenue that they will get from a client using their commercial operation, i.e. payment. On the other hand, they also know what is the risk. And the risk is if you have any single payment that is made by the wrong person, because it's a scam or it's illegal or it's sent to the wrong person, then the day after, I'm exaggerating, but one day you will have the US authorities or the authority in the EU coming after you and say, wow, what did you do there? You should have known that, and now you have a fine. So I encourage everyone in the audience to Google, largest, bank fines, and you will see the last bank that was fined in Hong Kong is Standard Chartered. They were fined in the US $743 million US. So that's why I kind of work in a bank at some time, so I don't do at all, bank bashing. I'm not saying bank as bad, blah, blah, blah. It's just, if I was the CEO of HSBC, I would go the same way. Why opening an account where the revenue is limited and the risk is so high? Okay, so meaning what? Meaning that it's not that they don't have the capability to do it. It's just that they consider that should not be their main business. On the other hand, that's why we have a good momentum. I really experienced it the hard way. And I have a lot of friends who were entrepreneurs in China, in Taiwan, and so on, and they get their bank account closed. Okay, and so what we do is we do it the other way, and we say this is where we want to go. We want to analyze the risk. We want to develop an expertise in that field so we can welcome clients. At the end, I will not also, tell something that doesn't make sense. It's not an open bar, because we can't have Statris be an open bar and say to everyone, welcome, open an account. That's fine. So of course we do our due diligence, because anyway we have to do it according to the Hong Kong regulation, according to the UK regulation. As I said, we're also regulated in the UK, but we try to do it. You try to do it in a way that is smart, so we can go quick, get to know the client, and then monitor the account of the client so everybody is happy. The client can use the account, he has a smooth use of the account, and we are not at risk. I'll give you an example. If today you go to a bank, but again, that's not only in Hong Kong. If you go to a bank, then this bank will give you like a very, 60, 70, 100 questions to answers. And these questions are all the same, no matter what is your business. So meaning you are a consulting company, a manufacturing company, a trading company, whatever, an architecture, company, they ask the exact same questions. And you are like scratching your head and say, why do they want that? And they want that, and you have to answer, because if you don't answer, it doesn't tick the box, and their compliance department will be, we cannot accept the account. So we do it, it's very simple, but we do it the other way around. We ask a very simple question at the beginning: what is your industry? And once you know what is the industry, then we come up with some more questions that are tailored and that are targeted for people, for businesses in that industry. So we don't bother the client answering 20, 25 questions which just don't make sense. So that's the way we do it. But of course, for us, That's a good surprise. And then I stopped speaking, because if you start asking me questions, I won't stop. But for us, same thing. At the beginning, it was not clear whether it will be possible to work with clients in Latin America, because we work with a partner bank, DBS, so we didn't know whether they will be comfortable with us doing that. And I must say, at the beginning, it was kind of a surprise. Now it's no longer a surprise. They are okay, because we built that trust with DBS, and we are more and more clients coming from Latin America. That's why, I was very happy to participate in this forum. I can tell you, on the other hand, working with a client from, you may think, it's easier, but working with clients from the UAE, so Dubai and so on, very difficult. Don't ask me why. That's DBS. That's DBS. Way to see things.
So
Thank you, Bertrand.
Thank you very much. We have 5 minutes. So what we are gonna do now is, you said that you are very happy working for the clients coming from Latin America. So allow me to ask you, what was your experience working with the clients from Latin America? If you can share with us. I would like to see more Brazilian entrepreneurs, companies going to Hong Kong with the support from Invest Hong Kong and CWCPA, and also you helping them open the bank account. So what was your experience working with them?
The question is for me or?
To Bertrand, yes. Yeah,
Okay.
What was your experience working with the clients coming from Latin America?
So, as I said at the beginning, we were a bit hesitant, because again, there's no point for us to open an account for a client if the client cannot use the account, because then we turn an entrepreneur first into a happy customer, an happy client, and then a very angry customer that will, most of the clients, they have my WhatsApp, so they will be calling me and say, hey, Bertrand, you're a scam. So I just don't want to do that. So we experience it, 1, then 2, then 3, then 10, okay? I think the main difference is the one pointed out by Thiago before, is the time difference, because we don't have the size of our operation doesn't make it possible for us today to have like 24 hours, 24/7 customer support. And it's true that for our clients that are based in Latin America, if they want to reach us, I mean, if it's by email, then it can be anytime. But if they want to reach us by WhatsApp or by phone, it's either, early morning or late evening. Same thing for us. So I think that's really the pain point. Otherwise, no, that's really the thing I can think of. And I think what our client really enjoy, and here, I speak under their supervision, but it looks like making payment in China or in Asia in general. If you have this payment done from Hong Kong, this payment will be executed very quickly and without too much hassles. So whereas if I understand from our client that if you want to have the same payments from Latin America to Asia, very often it's very difficult. I mean, I don't know Latin America good enough, but I understand there are a lot of regulation about foreign exchange controls, things like that makes this kind of payment very, very, very difficult. So, and maybe just to finish, as I say, I started my career as a lawyer in Paris, and the first client I worked with was a Brazilian client. It's a very large company called Vale, the mining company. And I will always remember, because as a junior lawyer, after working with them for 2 years, the head of Vale in France, he went back to Brazil, invited me in a restaurant, and he told me something that I will always remember. He told me, Bertrand, I asked him, okay, what did you think about France? And he said, Bertrand, I'll tell you something. I think France is the only communist country in the world that has succeeded. So this has nothing to do with our webinar, but I like this sentence.
Oh, Bertrand, I want to say that we have very international audience today, Brazilians from London. We also have the audience from Singapore, Boston, United States, and also big cities of Brazil, not only São Paulo, but other cities. And so they were very interested in learning from you, how we can go to Asia through Hong Kong. And audience, Bertrand is speaking from Bangkok, Thailand, also evening time. So I think we try to do something that meets the demand of everybody in different time zones. It was great to have all of you exchange your experiences and knowledge. This is the first one to be done throughout next year, because we need to learn every single day on how to expand the markets. So I would like to ask now the speakers to give the final comments for about 30 seconds before we finish our webinar. Okay, so let's start with Thiago, then Camille and Bertrand.
Thank you. Once again, I think it was a great conversation, Sue. Thank you, Camille. Thank you, Bertrand, for inviting us. And please always count on Invest Hong Kong. We as a government platform, we are very much open to collaborate and to assist every type of project. So not only big companies, as we mentioned in our presentation, but even as a startup or company that are willing to have an office, like a one-person office, please do reach out to us. We can definitely share our vision and support this internationalization path, which is not easy, but usually it works very well, because Asian markets, they are well worth it. So thank you again, and please do reach out if you have any further questions.
Thank you, Camille.
I just want really to thank everyone that joined, and also the speakers, Bertrand, Thiago, Sue, for helping us to make this happen. I think today we had this great opportunity to have a really curated set of speakers, because everyone here kind of like talks to each other. So you have Invest Hong Kong and CW that can help you, and we really work together, Invest Hong Kong and us. Invest Hong Kong doesn't charge to provide you with this information. So even though we receive a client from any sources, we always invite them to help. They are very good contact to have if you're thinking about expanding to Asia. Sometimes clients get a bit, I won't say insecure, but since we are a service provider company, they pay us to set up. Sometimes I think it's good to have someone, a third view to help them with that. And also we have Bertrand here. For those that never heard about Hong Kong or how difficult it is to open a bank account in Hong Kong, you don't know how much it's a relief to have a company like Statris to count on and to help you to really realize your project, because really sometimes trying to open a bank account in Hong Kong is a nightmare, takes a lifetime. The 6 days that he mentioned is nothing compared to the amount of document. Of course, you have to have due diligence and everything, but it's not as bureaucratic. So I think this is like for people that want to invest in Asia, this is a very, very good group for you to contact, to ask your questions and get going. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bertrand?
Yeah, so thank you everyone for attending. Hopefully you've learned a few things about Hong Kong. And then same thing, thank you for the other speakers. And I'm very sincere when I said that anyone in the audience, if you have any question about Hong Kong, I think you should really reach out to Invest Hong Kong. I can tell you, I've been in Asia for 20 years, and even when we started, Statris, and I have this legal background, I realized what was needed, and I went to Invest Hong Kong, because they have this network, they have this access to the to the local administration, and that can really help you to save quite a lot of time if you have any question. And then on top of it, as Camille says it's free. So I don't know so many things that are free in this world. So if you have people that are here to help, and you just have to knock at the door and ask questions, and they will answer in a professional and diligent way, why not use it? Especially when they give you the good answers. And we had this experience, so I encourage everyone to do that. And then number two, as I mentioned, I was a lawyer for 10 years in some, US and UK firm. I was the managing partner of a US firm in Shanghai and then in Hong Kong. And then what Kennelly has said is that Hong Kong is simple compared to Brazil, based on what I understand. Again, I'm not familiar with Brazil, but that's also the problem because it looks so simple that you have a lot of people who want to go into the market on their own because it's simple. I read 3 blogs article written by you don't know who even wrote these articles. The date of the article is 10 years ago, and they say, yeah, now I'll do it on my own. And then at some point, they realize that what they have done, because they wanted to save a couple of thousand US dollar or even a couple of hundred US dollar, was not the right thing to do. Because when you have a setup, believe me, when you have a setup from a legal point of view or accounting point of view, and you want to change it, then very often it can, backfire. So it's much better to invest a few bucks at the beginning and have the right setup rather than realize after 1 year of operation that you have done things, the wrong way. So that will be my final word.
Thank you so much for your final comments. So audience, thank you again for your patience and participation. We achieved our goal, finishing our webinar around 10:35 a.m. here in São Paulo. And this webinar was recorded, so we are going to share this recording on social media and send by email, so the other people that were not able to attend this webinar can also access it. So once again, on behalf of Goldunov Consulting, thank you so much for your attention and interest in attending this webinar. Thank you so much to speakers for this excellent presentation that we learned a lot. So let's keep in touch and have a great weekend for everybody. Thank you so much. Muito obrigada, pessoal. Bom fim de semana. Tchau, tchau.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye, Thiago. Bye, Kennelly. Bye, Sue.
Bye, bye, everyone.